the mother and children, the norm in cultures around the world. Why is it the norm? Why isn't there countries that just specialize in single people?
Because they die out.
Because they die out?
Yeah.
God made it that way? Mrs. Agundes?
They'd be one unhappy country.
They'd be one unhappy country. Why do you think that? How many of you believe that God designed it that way? Okay. Let's put it this way. God created Adam, right? Everybody agrees with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
God created Eve. Everybody
Yeah.
agrees with that? God created man and women to come together and be fruitful. You know what I'm saying? Right? Everyone agree with that?
Amen.
Okay. And so what's the result of being fruitful? Chillings. Right? When you get together, you get chillings. Okay? And so if you have a man and you have a woman and you got chillings, what does that constitute? Family. Okay? So it's safe to say that God's design was for family. Okay? And God's design for a family is for a father and a mother to be together. And that's where a union is created and it becomes marriage. Okay? Now the second part of question number 1 says, why have alternative forms of family never really had staying power? Now, there is people out there that's like, you know what, I'm not the marrying type. I'm not going to get married. I like being single. I like not having to answer to nobody. I like doing what I want to do whenever I want to do it. Why doesn't that last? There's no what? No commitment. And someone back there in that corner over there said, lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. You know, you get lonely. There are times when it's cool. Okay, yeah, everyone needs some alone time every once in a while. But when that alone time is day after day, night after night, week after week, it gets old. You want to share your life with somebody. You want to share your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, your dreams, everything with somebody else. And I'm sorry, but if you're a guy sharing it with another dude, it's kind of weird. You know? Now, maybe it's a little easier for girls, women, to share their dreams and emotions and everything, with somebody else. But I'm sure at some point that gets a little weird too. And so God created that desire not only of the sexual preference of being together, man and woman, or the sexual need of being together, man and woman, but it's also the emotional aspect of it. It's the communicative aspect of it. There are things that, as opposites, that we complement each other on, that the other gender cannot do. Only something that the man is capable of doing, or the woman is capable of doing.
I think that having a mother and a father in a home is important because it teaches the child that balance as to where mom is very nurturing and sometimes the dad is a disciplinarian. I know that in our family, and we're seeing that now with our grandson, I have to stay out of the way when daddy or grandpa are teaching grandson a lesson. I want to go and rescue and hold him and just tell everybody to leave him alone. But I do that. But
I allow.
That wasn't you, that was me.
Oh. So it's still weird. So what I do is, now that I'm older, like I'm not a young mother anymore, I'm able to see how that benefits the child to have the masculine, the father and the grandfather discipline and reprimand, and versus where I just want to coddle him and just, all nurture and no discipline is not good. You need both, even though though dads are nurturing, you know, but that's, as a mom or as a grandma, it's hard for me to see that, because it's like, grandma, save me, you know? So that's the balance that God wants a child to have. They need that for their emotional health and their spiritual health.
That's true. Balance is true. It is.
Well, can I just say that I don't know for a lot of people, for me, I wasn't taught that God was supposed to be a part of my marriage. I was never taught that anybody other than another man or another woman was supposed to be part of my mom or dad's marriage. And that only lasted 5 years. After that, they went their separate ways. But I also wasn't taught that you were supposed to fight for your marriage. I saw a lot of abuse. I saw a lot of alcohol and drug use. So I didn't know what normal was other than that when I married my husband. And I thought that was normal if he wanted to go out and drink with buddies and stay out all night and not come home. I mean, I really thought that was normal and I was supposed to stay there. I recently had a friend of mine ask me, because I had given her a little bit of my testimony, and she said, why did you stay? You know, and I said, well, because aside from, yes, the fact that my husband was and still is, both of us, a Christian man, he was brought up by a Christian woman. He did teach me about what a Christian woman should do, and I did know Christ. So I learned that you do fight for your marriage, and God was at the center of my marriage. It wasn't always easy. It was very, very bumpy. But if I hadn't known that, if this man hadn't taught me that, I probably wouldn't have stayed with him. And for that unity that you're talking about, or that the lesson is that you're teaching, you know what I mean. I think it's really important that if you don't get that as a child from either your single mom or your single dad or your gay dad or your gay mom, I don't know, or your mom and dad together, you have to find it at some point. God has to be a part of that for it to be a unity and stay a unity. I strongly don't believe that there's going to be unity without God at all. Point blank.
That's good. That's good. The thing is that that being taught by your parents, we for so long we've talked about the fact that whatever good traits or bad traits your parents have, you're going to pick up on. And so it's kind of difficult to go into a relationship when your parents are divorced. What did you get taught? Well, you got taught that, if things get to the point where you don't feel like you can take it anymore, you leave. And so you have to understand that number one priority is your marriage should be worth fighting for. And if you go into your relationship with that expectation, things are going to get bumpy, like Sonia said. Things are going to be very difficult at times, but that doesn't mean, it's kind of like if you were in school and you took a test and you failed the test, does that mean that you just get, well, I can't do that? You remember as a kid when you tried to do something and you were horrible at it and you said, Mom, I can't do this, and you just gave up, right? Because as a kid, you really didn't, you had to have that determination built into you or brought up into you before you can actually be resilient and come back and, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try it again. Nobody's going to tell me that I can't do it, because if you tell, I'm the kind of person, tell me I can't do something. Go ahead, tell me. So that, I'm just, if nothing else, just to prove you wrong, I'm going to do it. Okay? Now, if you tell me, PA, you can't jump out of a plane, I will tell you, you are absolutely right, because I will not do something stupid like that. Okay? And if you do that, all on you, that's good. For me, that's stupid. Okay? For me to do it. Me personally, Alan, that's stupid to do that. Okay? Perfectly good plane, don't know about the parachute, not happening. Okay? Yes.
Well, being married in my previous relationship for like 16 years, being brought up, my dad was always like, we're the men, we go out there and we do this, and the female's supposed to be at home, pregnant and barefoot and making tortillas, But, that's like not cool, you know what I mean? But I've learned just to be humble and submissive.
Jim, You don't have everyone from choir that's over here and the band that's over here and everybody else. So that number's going to change. Okay, so, anybody else? So let me add this to it. The structure of family, the structure of father, mother, husband, and wife is God's structure. That's the design from the beginning that God came up with. And people pretty much all the time follow that design unless they're persuaded by another philosophy. It's kind of like Christianity. You are a Christian, you follow the ways of a Christian, unless someone comes along and gets you to change your philosophy on religious beliefs. Okay? And so that's where you have all these different denominations and you have all these different religions and everything because it's a philosophy, whereas we're grounded in the truth. But I don't want to talk about, other religions or anything like that.
And that's where the philosophy of the world and of whatever's going on in society has infiltrated in the church to where, like Sonia said, nobody taught her how to fight for her marriage. Now, to fight for your marriage is considered to be a sign of weakness. You don't need that. Get out. Leave him or leave her. Go do your own thing. Start over again. So that fighting for your marriage is no more, it's not honorable anymore. It's looked upon as weakness, and people even get ridiculed and mocked because they want to fight for their marriage. And that's a philosophy that the world has given the society today.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, we have some close friends, and they're not believers. And her and I just sit back and just watch the chaos, and it's really sad because we've invited them here. And without God, you're a mess. You're like lying, you're like bumping off each other, and arguing all the time. There's no respect. It's really sad for us to watch it. You know?
Well, that happens in Christian families too, but it's worse when you don't have God at the center of it.
Yeah.
But
You're not accountable to anybody.
that's true. Yes.
I think you just said something, though, that affects both Christian and non-Christian. Unless God's the center of it. Doesn't matter if you call yourself Christian or not Christian. God has to be the center of it. Or you're going to get that turmoil.
Yes.
So if you call yourself a Christian and God is not the center of it, then you don't have a Christian home.
There you go.
That's good.
Wow. I'm glad you
Good,
said that.
Sam.
Really good.
That's good. Somebody feel their toes stepped on? But that's the thing is, and we realize that just showing up to church doesn't make a difference. Just being the fact that you gave your life to Christ, that's the beginning point. That's the birth. That's when you become a baby Christian. But in order to go from being a baby to an adult, you have to grow, right? And so we know that journey, and again, we're not going to get into the spiritual aspect of it, but we're talking about in a marriage, that marriage has to grow. And that is understanding each other, having patience for each other, having loving kindness for each other, having forgiveness. Because if everybody had that attitude that Claudine was talking about, and everybody just threw in the towel, what we saw at the beginning of this series, the statistics of children that are raised in single-parent homes. Now, let me give my disclaimer again. If you are a single parent, if you are a divorced parent, I'm not talking about your past, I'm talking about today. Forget about what happened in the past, because the past is the past. We can only move forward, right? So what I'm talking about is today, okay? If you were in a relationship or you were in a marriage and you decided that I'm just going to throw it away, statistically, you're damaging your kids. They're going to wind up single family. Well, what makes you think I can't raise my kids by myself? Because the statistics say so. The statistics say you are probably going to wind up having to deal with a lot of problems with your children, and God help them, and God help you. Because how many of you know when your kids put you through hell, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Right? It's bad enough when your spouse puts you through hell, but when your kids put you through hell, it makes it that much more difficult. And so we need God because we can't do it in our own strength. Mrs. Brown, did you have your hand up?
So you know everything. We've been through movies on everything.
There's a movie there.
For the longest time, I was in denial. I was like, you know me. I actually was like, no, I don't need him. You know, I have to raise him alone. Until my 4-year-old Tiana, and she's the one. She's told me before, you know, the whole cat word, because I tell them, you know, the cat is not allowed in our home. So when she would hear me like, I can't do this anymore, let me go, you know, split up, I can't, and she takes me to the cat. And she said, Mommy, why do you say you can't? You know, you can do it. And then she knows Bible verses, and then she prays God into this, and I'm like, you are 4.5, you know, and you know more than I do. So she's, you know, she puts me on track really, really quick. And so do the boys, and you're right, I started seeing a lot of change, and they were starting to rebel, my older one's 9 and 10, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm being very, very selfish, you know, I'm just thinking about myself, my happiness, and the reality of you need to you know, regardless of what issue we have, it's kind of my fault. I mean, you know, I have to love them, yes, love me, but it has gotten better, but I know I'm really crazy, but it's working, yeah.
There's yes.
One thing that, as Christians, we need to learn is to submit to each other as husband and wife. We have to submit to God's rules first. Because if He doesn't rule in our lives, how can we try to put rules to our own lives? You know, as a couple. You know, when you submit to God, and I come to realization later on in my years of marriage that I have to abide by God's rules to be able to put rules in our own marriage. And that way we're submitting to each other. But we have to recognize God's power in our life first.
That's good. Mike?
We learn to do as Christ told us in the scriptures, where He says, husbands, love your wife as Christ has loved the church. If we just do that, we ain't got to worry about nothing else. Communication is one of the biggest key issues in a relationship, because you start harboring and holding back on what you feel because you don't want to hurt or your spouse's feelings or whatever. Sometimes, because you love them and because you want correction and you want to be clear and be heard as what you now. Be careful of how you say it, which I have a problem with doing. I just blur it out without even thinking, and then I'm wondering why she's mad. But anyway, I've learned to where when we argue and it's getting a little too crazy, I'll be like, I'll tell her, hey, you know what? Let's pray. I'll stop it right there and I'll say, you know what? Let's pray right now. And we pray, and then we'll go in the room and we'll talk about the situation. And it's like, oh, wow, we're arguing over nothing.
That's good. So, yes.
I'm just going to inject something. And I used to, in the morning, Lord, help me love Sylvia. Sylvia was my wife. And then, don't giggle.
They weren't laughing at you.
But when we were to get upset with each other, I would say, Lord, love her through me so that I can love her as you do. And then it's easier to deal with things. With my own thing, I want to...
There's wisdom there. You need to listen to this guy. How many of you have ever gotten a speeding ticket? Raise your hand. Aye. Hold on. Okay. Now, for all of you that raised your hand that got a speeding ticket, how many of you were ticked off after you got your speeding ticket? Raise your hand. Okay. Now, okay, so you got a speeding ticket and you got ticked off. Were you ticked off that you were the cop?
Myself.
Okay. Everybody, with the exception of the few angelic ones that are here, okay, is ticked off at the cop. Why would you be ticked off at the cop if you broke the law?
Because he was hiding.
It wasn't, if you did get a ticket and you're mad at yourself, you're not mad at yourself that you broke the law. You're mad at yourself because you got caught.
Amen.
Is why you're mad at yourself.
No, the thing is, that there was more cars going at the same speed I was, and they happened to choose.
Right.
That's why-
Right, I know
They have to
you,
be
the
looked at.
poor, I know, victim, right?
We always victimize ourselves.
But here's the thing, okay? What the point that I want you to hear is this. The same rules that apply with God. When you make a decision to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, when you make a decision to try to live a godly or Christian lifestyle, there are rules.
Yep.
And when you break the rules, there is a consequence, just like speeding and getting a ticket. The only thing is, with God, there is no sneaking. Okay? There is no, oh, I got away with that. You didn't get away with nothing. He saw it. And just because you're not getting your ticket right then and there, it's taking him a little time to process the ticket. He's going to have to define what the fine is going to be. Okay? So you have to understand that for every action there is a reaction. And so when we go through things with God, it's not because, oh, he's mad at you. No. It's just like getting a ticket. Now God may tell you, hey, I'm going to let you go to traffic school. Okay? Once. Okay? Or he's going to tell you, no, you're going to have to pay the fine. And if your offense is big enough, he may not only fine you, but he may throw you in jail for a little while. Okay? Now, y'all know what I'm getting at, right? So, again, if the shoe fits, Cinderella, okay, you just have to look at your life as being that way, and you have to understand that there are repercussions. And I know you're saying, well, what does this have to do? Man, this has everything to do with your marriage. Everything. Are you with me?
Amen.
I think that's a great analogy in marriage because, like you said, are you angry that you got a ticket or you're angry that you got caught? And that's where we need to examine our motives, even in our marriage, and what drives us. And what drives us to do things that hurt our marriage when we know that they are going to hurt our marriage. If you're speeding, let's use that. Or if you're doing something, if you know that there's going to be a consequence for that, then we need to examine our walk with the Lord and find out why it is that we are willing to take that kind of risk.
That, I go back to triangle, 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 triangle. You have to look at your whole life with your spouse in your relationship as a triangle. You're both starting off at the bottom of one side, and the closer your relationship is with God, when you finally both reach that point where you work your way towards God and you come together, that is the strongest bond that you can have. Yes?
For me, it's been kind of hard to balance work and family and life in general. We have 3 boys together, and raising them is not easy. And I noticed that every time something like that comes up, like when it's almost been a year since I got the job, that I let go. I stopped coming to church. I stopped, doing the right things. And I gotta tell you, the devil really tried attacking us hard. And with my boys, I've seen what a difference, now coming back to church, how it is now at home. My boys are much happier. Our marriage is much better than, not at its very best, but we're working together, and that's the best we can do. It's just, I just want to say it's really different.
Well, and so you've heard Raina say that, and you've heard Fabiola say that, all of a sudden, wow, the kids are having an effect on the parents and their relationship because they see the effects of church on their kids. Behaviorally, psychologically, mentally, everything else, which makes it easier on you. Now, if you have kids that are out of control, get rid of one of them. Then you should be Just,
I want to make a clarification because I think that's the enemy of our soul can really mess with our heads. Some of us will be striving to be the best that we can be as a wife or a husband, and the spouse isn't really trying. So that triangle now is kind of not working. But I want you to be aware that you're not alone. Jesus is there with you. You know, He is there to help you through the situation. If there is a situation when your spouse, for whatever the reason, whether it's laziness or just not willing or whatever that reason is, don't give up. Keep searching God for answers. It's you and Him. And He knows that you're fighting for your marriage, and He honors that.
Yeah.
So just allow the Lord to speak to you. Allow Him to help carry you in a difficult season, because they do happen where one spouse is not really wanting to go and be, make that strong unit. Don't give up. Just keep trying. Yeah.
I'll use Claudine and I as an example. You know that she got saved before I did, and she'd go to church on Sundays. And do you want to go with me? No, I don't want to go with you. High holidays. Okay, I'll go with you because you're going with me. But, eventually it was like, she kept on. She prayed. She had other people praying. They were all against me. They were just trying to get me saved. And look at where I am now. I'm standing in front of you. Not patting myself on the back, not prideful or anything, but seriously, you want to talk about testimony? Man, you ain't got time for my testimony. Seriously though, I've come miles. Okay, can we go on to question 2? Because we're evidently not.
I just want to make a statement about the kids. Don't count on church teaching your kids about the Lord. You have to do it.
That's right.
You don't just take them to church. At home.
That's right.
You need to talk to them and teach them and show them about the Lord.
You use that as a base, okay, and then you have to do it. Okay, we're moving. So in number 2, it says, what ways are healthy families beneficial for those who are a part of them? Well, isn't that, when you're a part of a family, a mom, a dad, children, isn't there some kind of unity, and there's a tremendous amount of, again, the mental and emotional and physical contentness of being together, right? As being a family unit, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it gives you a sense of belonging.
A sense of belonging. Who doesn't want to be part of a family? That, unfortunately, I know you're going to laugh at this. This is why gangs are so popular.
It's true.
Because you know why? Because let me tell you something. I guarantee you, Holmes, that if you go and you took a survey, a real survey, and got real answers of gang members, the majority of them come from broken homes. The majority of them come from families that don't have a together family unit. I don't think that you're going to find too many of kids that have gotten involved in gangs that come from a together home, unless they are misfits that want to fit in. Okay? And what I mean by that is, whatever definition you want to put the misfit. Okay? Well, that's what I mean. Okay? So, where was I going with that? I don't know.
Well, that family provides a sense of belonging, acceptance, security, love. And when a child doesn't have that, they will look for that somewhere else.
Right.
And that's why, like you said, gangs are so popular, because they offer that. You
Right.
are accepted. You're given they give them everything in a negative way that they should have been receiving from their own family.
Right. So, and that's where I was going with that. So, that's how we complement each other. Yes.
I was cooking one afternoon, and my other son brought a couple gals to our house, and I'll never forget the one gal walked in, and anyway, she looked like a pumpkin pie. And she looked at me, and I said, "This is my mom." She was, "Hi, how you doing?" She said, "You're really cooking?" I was cooking dinner. She said, nobody ever cooked. She says, it's like Beaver Cleaver. I go, no, not this house. But she really felt that, just from seeing a mom behind the stove cooking. It's really sad. It touched me.
Yeah, you'd be surprised that, we think our situations are so bad, but you have no idea about other people's situations and the situations that they've come up in. And so we have to be sensitive to that. There's a lot of benefits for family members that are mentioned, but there's greater economic prosperity when a family unit is together, and there's a sense of belonging or connectedness, which we talked about. Social benefits from the order, child education, moral instruction that families provide. So the result is less crime, less poverty, and the need for social programs. That's why, listen, let me ask you a question. And I want to tell you, the feedback that we got from the surveys was priceless last week. And so that's why, if you haven't filled one out, I encourage you with every bit of my being to fill one out, because, again, I can't impress upon you enough, this is your ministry. We want to do what works for you guys. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is good, and what we're not doing, we try to do. How many of you would like to see, and this is off base, but just for a second, but kind of ties into the question, how many of you would like to see us do more together? And what I mean by that is, like, getting together and doing things, whether it's coming here and watching a movie and maybe doing dinner, or a game night, or going somewhere, or doing something, whether it's with kids or without kids. Basically, Christian terminology is fellowship. I'll just use the word hanging out, okay, outside of a Sunday in class. How many of you would, and don't get me wrong, I respect your time, I know you got a lot going on. It's like, but how many of you would like to do more?
More potlucks.
So can you just put up your hands one more time? Okay, that's a lot of you. Okay, so what that tells us is that not only do we have a need for hanging around, because here's the thing, like in anything in life, you want to be successful, you hang around successful people. You want to get rich, hang around rich people. You want to have a good marriage, hang around people that really give a rip about their marriages. You know what I'm saying? That's the important thing, or their future marriages, or whatever the case may be. That's all that it comes down to, and that's what we want to provide. We want to provide those things. So maybe next time we'll have a suggestion. I would love to see us go on a cruise. I would love to do that. The problem is you got gambling and drinking, and that's too much temptation for too many. Okay. And I don't want to walk around the deck going, hey, oh, hey. I don't want to see you hanging over the railing, chumming for the guys that are fishing, I don't want to, pull you away from the machine. Just one more hand, Peter. So I don't know that we could do that. If y'all could be responsible adults that could do that, maybe we can talk about doing that. I don't think they offer a cruise ship that doesn't serve alcohol, that doesn't have a casino on it, so, I don't know. Yes?
On Groupon, you can do a round trip to Catalina for $30.
Yeah, but it's once you get there, they want your arms and your legs.
Well,
That's expensive. That's a great idea, but that's expensive. And don't come to me and suggest we go to Vegas, because that ain't gonna fly, okay?
We can do an outreach at Vegas.
Was that like a softball game or something?
Yes. That'd be very
Family softball.
We do have we have a day at the park that we have scheduled for this year that we'll come together and bring the kids and we can play softball and hang out and bring your barbecues and do that kind of thing. We have beach days scheduled, and don't forget the family camping trip. So, man, are we going to get through this lesson or what? I know, I'm the one who keeps sidetracking, right? But this is important information. This is about us, and I'm still working on the t-shirt thing, or shirt thing. So what happens to society when a large number of families fall apart? What happens to society? Well, I can tell you probably that suicide goes up. I can tell you that crime goes up.
well, in my own family, I left my wife when my oldest was 14. All 3 of my boys went into drugs. 2 of them are dead. And that was because I was selfish. I thought, you know, had I known what was going to happen to my family, I would have stayed with my wife. But I wanted to please Frank.
It was selfishness.
Yes.
Right? So we've talked about that, selfishness. But when families fall apart, the disintegration of our society happens. It really does.
Yes.
Again, let me just see a show of hands. How many of you come from a divorced family? Okay? Hold them up. That's the majority.
What is it?
How many of you come from a divorced family? Your parents were divorced. Okay? That's the majority of the people in here. So, in all honesty, those of you that had your hands up, the odds were against you going into a relationship. Because you did not have the perfect role models to show you what something was worth fighting for. Is that your fault? No. Okay? But what you're doing is you're battling back.
It's your fault.
Okay? You're battling back. And you have to understand that with everything in your life, you have to be a take charge kind of person. You know? Otherwise the world will chew you up, walk all over you, and swallow you because you're not taking charge. You have to be the one to decide. There is no way in hell that what God put together, anything is going to break us apart. Not another woman, not another man, not a situation, not a financial crisis. If your man or woman was good enough to marry when you had nothing, they should be good enough to fight for when you are battling whatever. Are you with me? Okay, it's imperative that you are willing to fight. Okay? How does divorce in Christian homes affect what the world thinks of God? Yes.
If you're just like the world, why change?
Right? I mean, people love, yes, Krista.
My parents, they just got divorced a couple weeks ago. Well, actually, we're not divorced yet, but they were together for like 24 years. And Josh and I were married, and it affected our lives because I thought if they can't stay together, how are we supposed to stay together? So it affected me a lot because I just like gave up on my marriage right away. Because I thought, you know, if they've been together this long, I've seen all this love, and everybody else around us is falling apart. How are we supposed to stay together? You know, our arguments, our fights, what we've been through. So it affects a lot, it affects everybody. And now my sister doesn't go to church anymore. She just got married, and she's ready to give up, and yeah, so it affects everybody.
Can I ask you real quick, if you don't mind, if you mind, just say, I don't want to share. Why did they divorce?
They divorced because my mom, she got tired of it, I guess.
Okay.
And
So she got tired of it. Ladies, how many of you have gotten tired of your man?
Had to make sure Paula didn't raise her hand.
That's just today. That's just today. If I ask the men, how many of you got tired of your women, don't do it, okay?
You're so in trouble.
Listen, we get tired of each other. We do. Again, who knows better how to get on your last nerve than your spouse? They know how to rub you the wrong way. They may not do it purposely, but they do it. But it's being able to overcome that. It's being able to recognize that it's not coming from an evil place. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some that do things from an evil place, and those things need to be dealt with on a separate situation. But, talking about for the most part, you have two good-hearted people trying to make it work. If you love each other and you're committed to each other, you will never, ever purposely try to hurt the other person. Okay?
Yeah.
And so when something does happen that irritates you, offends you, upsets you, hurts you, try to understand. I know to fight the feeling of anger and hurt and all of that is very difficult, but you got to try to take a step back and go, look, I know they love me, you know, and that's why they say it's never good to address a problem when the problem occurs. It's better to take a couple of minutes or a couple of hours and let things calm down so that you speak from a clearer state of mind, you think from a clearer state of mind, you know. And women, you know that most guys, a lot of guys, will basically shut down. Okay? When you go at them, they will shut down. And then all of a sudden, the guy who's usually very talkative has nothing to say. Why? Because we don't want to deal with it at that point. We know we're fighting an uphill battle. We're not going to win. It doesn't matter what we say. We're done. You know, we're done. I know. I'm speaking it. You would think I live at your house, right? But that's not the case. Yes, sir.
That's a double standard, isn't it? If you actually tell them what you feel at the time, and it upsets them because of what we say might hurt them. I mean, we don't measure the type of damage it's going to make. Or, by the other hand, I mean, if you don't say anything, that means you don't care. So what's it going to be? I mean, am I telling you something that hurts a lot, or if I'm not saying anything, I don't care? So
the answer is yes. You lose either way. Yes, no, but that's why, as men, we need to be able to say, listen, you know, both of us are upset at this point. Let's just take a few minutes and of course, some of the women will chase you into the other room going, you know, no, you're going to tell me what's wrong. I understand that, been there, done that. You know, if the shoe doesn't hit you on the back of the head while you're leaving the room, then you make it out safe. Okay? And if it's a heel, you know, you have a couple of dent marks on the back of your head, you know. But it's important, and this goes back to what Mike was saying earlier, communication is number one, and we have to learn what works for one couple doesn't work for another, and the way that you communicate with each other may not necessarily work in the same way for another couple. Okay? So you have to learn the balance and weights of how it works. Maybe your spouse is the kind that needs to be addressed right away. Maybe your spouse is the kind that you need to check into a hotel for a day. Okay? Maybe you do need witness protection. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the situation is, but you need to make it work for whatever situation you want to work. Do you have a comment?
I just wanted to say that that's why it's important that as a husband and wife, you get together to pray, because you have to realize that your marriage is unique to your own marriage. You know, comparison steals your joy. And if you keep looking at other couples and how, you know, they do their marriage and, you know, you're coveting that, that's going to take away from you working on your marriage. Because not all marriages look alike. They're all very different. So you have to be very careful that you understand that.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Mr. Aragon.
I was just going to say, a few days ago, I had one of my boys call me, because him and his wife been having he's from Texas, they've been having some real difficult times or whatever, talking about the divorce or what have you. I ain't no, marriage expert. Man, I got problems in my own marriage. But I always take them to scripture, man. I tell them, hey, I remember when I first got with my girl, when I first met her, man, I made sure my pants were looking sharp, my shirt, I made sure I was looking good, you know what I'm saying? That first impression. Maybe we should do that every day, you know what I'm saying? When we start feeling down or whatever.
Amen.
Man, think back about that first day, how you went all out on yourself to impress that female. Now you got her wrapped around your head, you don't know how to, and you were trying to shake her off over something stupid. You know what I'm saying? It goes deeper than the reason of why he wants to divorce her. But I told him, dude, don't give up, man. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you stop and pay attention to her, because I guess she's talking to some other dude, and I go, that right there tells me she's looking for attention. He's like, oh, well, I get off of work and I'll go have a beer with my boys. I go, there you go, dude. I mean, you're painting the picture that shouldn't be. I said, you know what? Stop hanging with your boys.
Yeah.
Start hanging around with your girl. You know what I'm saying? And just go take her out on the weekends or whatever.
Good advice. Yes. Looks like you're ready to swear in.
I think what is very beneficial for me with my lovely wife, Brandon. She's been through some trials, related to I'm pretty sure we all. Yes. You know, I thank God for my mother. Of course, everybody is like, oh, you have a perfect mother. She didn't have a perfect life either. But she's always made sure that I really appreciate what she like bestowed upon me since I was little. She openly admitted to me that I did not like being loved. I couldn't stand my mom, you know, hugging me, kissing me, and stuff like that. And then as I got older, it's like completely the opposite. I can't stand not, you know, in a sense, being around family, being around people that I love and cherish and everything else. It got to the point where I thought I was cursed or whatever. The love I have for people is completely uncanny. I can't even explain sometimes why I care about people when they don't care about me. It just baffles me a lot. So I came to a realization that it's a journey with love, and you have to understand that regardless, if you understand it, which a lot of people I feel do not understand, which is why they think, oh, this person is doing this, they don't love me, or oh, he's acting this certain way. Of course, that's not love, so I should just let that go because this person doesn't love me. But the person that you vow to, such as my wife, it's a dedication before God. If you're saying, look, regardless of through thick and thin, till death do us part, I'm going to do whatever it takes to love this person and showcase to him and showcase to God that this is the love that you bestowed upon me to understand it. And the perfect scripture, God so loved the world, even if the world didn't love him back, he gave his only begotten son. That's something that a lot of people can't even just do, just for a random stranger. And I got to take that into effect, that key word, God loved the world, so loved the world that he did that. And you got to try to match that, and it's unparalleled at times, and that's what makes God God and you. But you know, it's a journey that you want to try to get to in your process in life.
I told you you were going to preach today, didn't you?
Missed that.
Oh, okay, yes.
I often ask Shirley if I'm doing anything to bother her.
Oh, don't ask that question, Bill. What? It works? Okay, I'm not suggesting you guys ask your wives that. Am I doing anything to bother her? No. If that works for you, that's good.
What was the question? What did he say?
He says he asks her on a regular basis, am I doing anything to bother you? And she'll just say, I'm not talking to you right now.
I was going to say define bother.
Don't turn your back when I'm talking to you.
Right.
Because he doesn't hear me.
You think he doesn't hear you. Yes.
You know, so I came from a broken home, and it was definitely, my mother was in a different type of relationship with my stepdad, and my dad and my stepmom were in a different type of relationship. And the relationship that I saw with my dad and my stepmom, I wanted. Like, because my dad wasn't there for me when I was a child, but my stepdad was. And I knew, well, when we decided that we were going to get married, I knew I wasn't going to marry anybody else. I wanted to be a person that was only going to be married one time. I did not want to have 2 or 3, 4 times married or nothing like that. And then when we were blessed with Samira, I told him too, we both agreed, like, I mean, we never had any issues like that. And we worked together on top of all of our marriage life, our home life, but we worked together side by side on a daily basis. And I think that's a challenge, but it's a choice that you make to decide that, you know what, I'm in it to win it, and well, he ain't going nowhere anyway, but I'm in it to win it, and that's the relationship that I want. But I want my daughter sees us, and I want her to want what we have, having that whole relationship. And because when she does decide to get up, and if her dad allows her to get married, she can have that, you know, because it's very important for our children to see our parents working together as a team and not against each other.
That's good. Last comment.
So I got a coworker that I work with, and I drive long distances to work and stuff, and I've known this kid since he was 11 years old, 10 years old. He's an adult now. I got him a job with me and everything, and so family friend. And a lot of times when we're driving long distance, I'm on the phone with her. Sometimes we have arguments. Sometimes conversation comes up, and he's sitting right next to me. He hears it. We get off the phone. I'm a little upset. I know she's upset. He asks me, he's like, "Why do you put up with it? Why do you, deal with it, and, this and that." And it's like, for one, he only knows my point of view from one side or whatever. So, I'll have a conversation with her. I told him, we've been married for going on 9 years. And we've only found Christ, 2 years? Roughly about 2 years. So, I'm horrible at math. 7 years, we never had Christ in our relationship. At least we thought. And I kind of put in perspective, I said, all those times that we have got on each other's throats, and we were fighting, and it's horrible, breaking things, and all this stuff, and God's there. He's holding her, he's holding me, we're sitting here scratching at each other, trying to, fight and stuff. He's there the whole entire time, holding us away from each other, and saying, like, you're not ending this. You're not going to let it end. We've always fought for each other. Now that we have Christ in our life, and now that, we acknowledge the things that he has done for us, it just takes it to that next level. But he's always been there for us, every single step of the way. It's so hard to stop and look at that and realize that, I'm sure there's a lot of people here that have been through a lot in their relationship, and just, you got to stop and look at it, like the things that we've gone through and the things that he has let us go through together and work out and just come, stronger than before. It's really powerful. It really is.
Awesome. All right. Let me